All right, we're going to do the SAM project called West Coast Outdoor Advertisers. It is the Module 1 project for Access 2016. I've already downloaded and opened the starter file. The very first thing I want to do is save as, click the Save As button, and change the name from underbar 1 to underbar 2. Okay. I also have decided I want to save to my desktop so I can easily find the file later on. I happen to have a copy of that file already. I'm going to replace it to start over again. You may get a little warning message. It's a security feature in Access that indicates that the file is protected, and then you'll have to click a button so that it is editable. So you will do that. You do trust it. It's content from Shelley Cashman and Sam. All right. Create a new table in Datasheet view with a few options. That's project step number 1. So create a new table. By default, it is in Datasheet view. And the very first thing we want to do is rename this ID field. So I'm going to right-click and choose Rename and change that to State. Okay. And we want to change the data type of this field. Okay, so I'm going to make sure that I click and the pink box is around State. And then I'm going to look up in the ribbon, make sure that I'm looking at the Field tab, and change the data type to short text. Now, the second thing I want to do is look for field size and change that to 2. (1B) asks us to change that field size to 2. We just did that. And now we're on to 1C, which asks us to add a new field with the name, state name, and short text data type. So first I'm going to choose short text for the type, and I can now just type that new name in, state name, okay, and we should be good to go. We are going to save the table by right-clicking over this tabbed name, choosing Save. We want to give this table the name States, so I'll type this in the box. Click OK, and close the table by either right-clicking and choosing Close, or clicking the X at the far right. So I read the instructions wrong, and we weren't supposed to close that table. So I'm just merely going to double click to open it back up again. And with that states table open in Datasheet view, we're going to add 4 records to that table. And those 4 records are shown in your instructions. The ID, Idaho, I'm tabbing to go from field to field, OR for Oregon, WA for Washington, and WY for Wyoming. Make sure you spell everything exactly correctly. Double check, make sure capitalization is correct and everything is exactly as seen in the instructions. Now we are going to save and close that states table. So right click, save, and close. Now we want to open the ad rep table, and we can double click and it will by default open in datasheet view. Add a new field following the postal code field with the name date hired. So actually I'm going to choose the column after postal code, right click, and insert field. That will sandwich the new field between postal code and salary. Now I need to rename that field. So I will right click and choose rename field. Name it date hired. Okay. And what do I want that field to represent? I want it to represent a date. So let's go up to the ribbon in Table Tools under Fields and change that data type to date time. Okay. Now that that has been done, we can close the table by clicking the X. Step 4, open the Billboard table, this time in Design View. So to open a table in a different view, we can right click and then choose off of the context menu the other view. Now that Billboard is open in Design View, we need to make a few changes. First, to the height field. Okay, so I'm going to make sure this dark arrow is showing next to height, and then when I click, height field will be selected. Now I want to change the data type from short text. I'm going to click next to short text. An arrow appears. I'm going to choose number. I need to change the field size property. That is down in the bottom section. Field size. I'm going to change that from long integer to single. And I want to change the decimal places property from auto, go all the way here and look at the drop down, change it to 1. With the table still open in Design View, we're going to look at step 5, where we will add daily effective circulation as the description to the DEC field. So let me select DEC, move over into the description, click my mouse, and then I can start typing daily effective circulation. Make sure you spell everything correctly. I didn't, so I'm going to click my mouse and backspace and correct that spelling. Once it's correct, I can click anywhere outside the field and move to step 6. With the Billboard table still open in Design View, I want to change the field size property for location. So let's choose location, look at the field size, change it to 75. Okay. Now I want to save the changes to the Billboard table and then close it. So put your mouse over the name Billboard, right click, save. You do get a warning message about some data being lost. That is mentioned in the instructions. It's okay, choose yes, and now the X will take you out of the table altogether. On step 7, we are going to import some data from an Excel spreadsheet. That spreadsheet should have been downloaded when you got the assignment files. So refresh your memory on where you put that Excel file. We're going to use external data, choosing Excel. At this point, we need to use the browse to navigate to the location of that file. I've put mine under a teaching directory for my introduction to computer class. And here the support file is. Once you navigate to it on your computer, then you can open that file. Look carefully at the instructions. You are to append the records to the advertiser table. So it's not the default, it's append. Choose the advertiser table. Now you can click OK. Everything looks fine on this page, so we can click Next. We are importing to the advertiser table. I can leave everything else as is and click Finish. I was told not to save the import steps, so I will simply choose Close. We have moved to step 9. Open the Billboard table in Design. Oh, this time it's Data Sheet View. Okay, so I can double click the Billboard table and it will open in Data Sheet View. Navigate to the third record that has a Billboard ID of LHBU01. Go to the intersection of that record in the type field. Put poster in. This will not be correct. I need to make sure my capitalization is correct. Poster, and we're going to move up one and fill that in with digital. Now we can close the table with the X. We're going to do something with a query at step 10. It is the Billboard listing query. We want to open that in Design View. So right click, choose Design View. We're going to add a criterion to select only those records with the state field value of WA. So let's go to the intersection of criterion and state and put in capital W, capital A. When I tab out of that field, Access automatically enclosed that WA in double quotes, confirming that it's going to recognize it as text. Okay. I'm going to run the query, and you can run the query by going to the ribbon, looking for that large red exclamation point. Let's click the mouse, and we see the records only for the state of Washington. Save and close. So let's right click, save, X to close. Step 11, use the simple query wizard to create a query based on the advertiser table. First, we want to make sure that under the table section, advertiser is selected. Okay. Now that that is selected, we're going to create a simple query. So we're going to go to the query wizard and make sure that simple query wizard is highlighted. Click OK. And now we have the simple query wizard, introductory form. Now, what are we asked to do at this point? We're going to base it off the advertiser table. That has already been selected for us because we selected it first over here. And now we want to include all the fields from that advertiser table. The easiest way to include all the fields is to look for the double arrow, click that, and all the fields move over in one simple step. I'll click next at this point. Make sure that the name for my query is advertiser query, and I can click finish. Okay. I could just take a look at the data here, but I don't have to do anything with it. At this point, I can just close the advertiser query. Now we're on to step 12, where we're going to create a simple form for that advertiser table. So again, let's just make sure advertiser is selected as a table. We're going to create and just choose form. And a simple form was created very quickly there. And we only need to save the form. So save. Make sure you change the name to advertiser space form. Okay. Click OK and close. Step 13, we're going to open the Add Rep Update form. So let's go down to Forms. We're going to double click and it will open as a form. And to navigate to the third record, look at the bottom here. Click this next record icon till you get to 3 of 7. Look for ad rep number KS02. Go down to the address. We can swipe over what exists and change that to 90 Mesa Verde Street. Okay, ST period. And I'm going to click outside of that field in any place and then X out of the form. In step 14, we are going to create a simple report based off the advertiser table. So make sure advertiser is selected, and we are going back to create on the ribbon and report. The report is very quickly created for us. We only need to save the report with the name. So right click, save. Make sure you add space report after advertiser. Click OK and exit. Now we're at the last step, step 15. Open the Idaho-Wyoming Billboard Circulation Report, but this time in Layout View. So let's right-click over that name, choose Layout View off of the context menu, and you'll see a little different look and feel for this report. It's more of a designer's view. Okay. The first thing we need to do is delete 2 of the columns, type and facing. So I'm going to click over the word type. I'm going to use my Shift key and click anywhere in the data, and now they're all selected. Just use the delete key on your keyboard and they'll all be deleted. I'm going to do the same thing for facing and delete. Now I want to change the column heading for this BBRDID column to the spelled out version, Billboard ID. First, I'm going to click once, and then I'm going to double click. You can see that now the text is shadowed or highlighted. I'm just going to start typing Billboard space ID. I can tab and move over to the next one I'm supposed to change, which is DEC. Let me double click, and that is supposed to be changed to daily effective circulation. I'm going to just type it, effective circulation, and when I hit the tab, you see the data underneath it sort of widened to the same size as the column heading. The D there is a little bit cut off, so I'm going to stretch just a little bit so that we can see it better. And that finished 15B. So on 15C, I want to create a sum of the values in this column. So I first clicked in the data area. You can see that it's all highlighted, meaning the entire data set is selected. And I'm going to go up here to the ribbon in the report layout tools and look for totals and sum. A number, a sum, is put down in there. I'm just going to adjust the size a little bit so that we can make sure to see it clearly. And lastly, change the report title from Idaho, Wyoming Billboards to Idaho, Wyoming Billboard Circulation. So I will select it, and then when I click again, I get my cursor bar blinking. I can use my backspace and change the words to Billboard Circulation and click anywhere outside, and it will keep the change. Lastly, I want to save and close any open objects. So this report I will save and close. Now I have no open objects on my canvas. Compact and repair my database. That's in the Database Tools tab of the ribbon. Click Compact and Repair. It should happen fairly quickly. This just makes our size of our database a more efficient size. And at this point, I want to just close everything. Oops, I think I hit the wrong. So File, Close, and then I can just close the entire Access application, and the file is on my desktop. Follow the instructions in SAM to submit your completed project. Good luck. I hope this helped you.